That Lass of LOWRIE'S by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Chapter 35. In the bedroom above the small parlour, a fire was burning at midnight, and by this fire Grace was watching. The lamp was turned low, and the room was very quiet. A dropping cinder made quite a startling sound. When a moan or a movement of the patient broke the stillness, which was only at rare intervals, the curate rose and went to the bedside, but it was only to look at the sufferer lying upon it, bandaged and unconscious. There was very little he could do. He could follow the instructions given by the medical man before he went away, but these had been few and hurried, and he could only watch with grief in his heart. There was but a chance that his friend's life might be saved. Close attention and unremitting care might rescue him, and to the best of his ability the curate meant to give him both. But he could not help feeling a deep anxiety. His faith in his own skill was not very great, and there were no professional nurses in Wigan. "It is the care women give that he needs," he said once, standing near the pillow and speaking to himself. "Men cannot do these things well. A mother or a sister might save him." He went to the window and drew back the curtain to look out upon the night. As he did so, he saw the figure of a woman nearing the house. As she approached, she began to walk more slowly, and when she reached the gate, she hesitated, stopped, and looked up. In a moment it became evident that she saw him, and was conscious that he saw her. The dim light in the chamber threw his form into strong relief. She raised her hand and made a gesture. He turned away from the window, left the room quietly, and went downstairs. She had not moved, but stood at the gate awaiting him. She spoke to him in a low tone, and he distinguished in its sound a degree of physical exhaustion. "You saw me," she said. "I thought you did, though I didn't think of you being at the window when I stopped to see the leak." "I am glad I saw you," said Grace. "You have been at work among the men who were hurt." "Aye," pulling at a bush of evergreen nervously, and scattering the leaves as she spoke. "There's scarce house at common sort in Wigan as hasna trouble in it." "God help them all," exclaimed Grace fervently. "Have you seen Miss Barham?" he asked next. "She were on the ground in 10 minutes after the explosion. She were in the village when it happened, and she drove to pit. She's been working as hard as ony woman in Wigan. She saw us go down mine, but she did not see us come up. She were away then wi' a woman as had a lad to be carried home dead. She would have come to him, but she knowed you were wi' him, and there were them as needed her. When the cages come up, there were women as screamed and held to her, and throwed themselves on their knees and hid their faces in her dress and in her hands, as if they thought she could keep the truth from them." Grace trembled in his excitement. "God bless her, God bless her," he said, again and again. "Where is she now?" he asked at length. "There were a little chap as come up in last cageful. He were hurt bad, and he was such a little chap as it went hard with him. When the doctor touched him, he screamed and begged to be let alone, and she heard and went to him and knelt down and quieted him a bit. The poor little lad wouldn't let go of her dress. He held it for dear life, and sobbed and shivered and begged her to go with him, and held his head on her lap, while the doctor did what mun be done. And so she went, and she's with him now. He will not live till daylight, and he keeps crying out for the lady to stay with him." There was another silence, and then Jones spoke. "Can you guess what I come to say?" He thought he could, and perhaps his glance told her so. "If I were a lady," she said, her lips, her hands trembling, "I couldn't ask you what I've made up my mind to, but I'm knowing a lady, and it doesn't matter. If you need someone to help you with him, will you let me have place? I don't ask naught else, but to be let do th' hard work." She ended with a sob. Suddenly she covered her face with her hands, weeping wildly. "Don't do that," he said gently. "Come with me. It is you he needs." He led the way into the house and up the stairs, Joan following him. When they entered the room, they went to the bedside. The injured man lay motionless. "Is there life in him yet?" asked Joan. "He looks as if there might na be." "There is life in him," Grace answered, "and he has been a strong man, so I think we may feel some hope."